to the KillerHERTZ Mercedes channel, and I hope you're safe and well. You join me once again driving on my 2007 G55 AMG compressor G-Wagen. Now, I've owned this for getting on for 18 months now, and in that time I've made 2 videos on the channel, with the first being the introduction to my G-Wagen. You can go and see that in the link via up the top corner here. And also a few months later I made my living with a G-Wagen video, which you can also see via the link at the top up here. Now, as I mentioned, this car dates from 2007, which in automotive terms is a bit of a dinosaur. And with older cars, the inevitable happens that you start getting problems and issues with either the engine and mechanical things, or more commonly it can be fixture and fittings and so on. My car's no exception. In the past year or so I've had to update some of the trim and refresh some of the bits and bobs, which I've all collated into one video for you today. Now, most of my sort of fixes on my channel and so on are for the DIY user. I don't really go into anything kind of mechanical related or anything like that. It's more like things you can actually do at home and trim you can replace, and this video is no exception. So anyway, let's get started, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So let's start with the very basics. When I got the car, it had been fully debadged by the previous owner, apart from the AMG badge on the rear. Now, I ordered a set of replacement badges and went about refitting them. If you have an AMG, you might as well flaunt it, eh? Now, lucky with a strong light and in certain angles I was actually able to pick out the outlines of where the old letters were on the bodywork, allowing me to position the new badges perfectly in the correct places. This of course included both the G55 badge on the rear of the car, as well as the V8 compressor badge on either of the front wings. Now, the badges are aftermarket and cost only a fraction of the Mercedes original price. The downside of course is that you don't get a template with them, unlike the OEM versions. And the final result looks good as new. A noticeable visual difference between the earlier G55 AMG and the later G63 AMG for the W463 chassis were the large bright red 6-pot Brembo calipers. My calipers are the smaller 4-pot versions for the earlier models, and were looking somewhat tired and let the overall appearance of the car down. As you can see, at some point in the car's earlier life someone had already painted these red before, but it all started flaking off. So, armed with my new 3-ton trolley jack, I removed all of the wheels and masked off each caliper as best as I could. Ideally I should have done this with the calipers off the car for the perfect finish, but as I said at the start of the video, this is a DIY at home job, and if you're not confident removing the braking system and rebleeding the entire brake lines, this is going to be your best option going forward. So after sanding down any flaking old paint and cleaning the calipers fully from dirt and grime and grease, I fully masked off the brake discs as well as the brake pads and the brake wear centres. And here we go, the finished job. Now, I did manage to get a small bit of paint leak onto the back of one of the pads, which is no big deal. Once it's fully dried I should be able to chip this paint off. If not, the pads are due to be replaced soon anyway, so it's no big deal. And a pretty decent job if I don't mind saying so myself. Near on perfect colour match for the original OEM Brembo G63 AMG calipers. Next up, I wanted to address the faded black plastic trim pieces across the bodywork. With this car originally coming from Dubai, it's had many a year in the extreme Middle Eastern sun, and UV has faded or made grey most of the black plastic trim across the bodywork. Starting with the black plastic rubberized impact strip which goes across the full length of each side of the car. This trim had white reflective sticker across the entire length, which was yellowing and peeling off at both ends. A quick look online at how much one of these single trim panels cost immediately put me off replacing it with new, let alone the other 4 sections on each side. I'd be looking at the best part of £1,000 to replace the lot. Other than being faded, it was in decent condition. So I carefully peeled off all the reflective strip. Then use some alcohol wipes to remove the remaining residue. After spending over an hour masking off all the bodywork around each section, I sprayed it with some black plastic bumper paint. As I did this during midsummer, it dried almost immediately. Now I know some of you out there will be thinking that this should have been done with the trim off the car. However, if I even attempt to remove these rubber strips off the car, they'll start deforming and become misshapen for good, resulting in me having to purchase new ones. So I proceeded with them still attached to the car. Once again, the final result looked perfect. Now, continuing with the grey faded plastics, I started to remove the air intake trims from both front wings. These have also severely faded over time from the harsh desert sun. And now again, with a couple of coats of the black plastic bumper paint, and these look brand new again. An interesting fact is that they aren't positioned in the same place on each side. The G-Wagon has an asymmetrical positioning of the intakes, which I only noticed once I removed these. Let's head around the back of the G-Wagon. Here we have the two rear number plate lights, both in a terrible, sorry state. Yellowed and, well, actually look like they've been burning from the bulbs making contact with the plastic lenses. Also, check out all the sand still coming from the housing from the car's previous adventures over in Dubai in the sand dunes. Now I'm going to replace these lights with a pair of CAN bus error-free LED units from AliExpress of all places. I'll fit them and see how I get on. I've got a feeling that these will end up being far too bright compared to OEM replacements. The LEDs did end up being far too bright as I predicted. What I did do though to solve this was paint the centre section of the lens with silver paint, therefore dimming the output, and now it looks perfect and OEM. There was another modification which I wanted to change on the rear of the car. These were the rear mud flaps. Now I know if you're going fully off-road regularly, these aren't very useful. But as I live in the extremely flat area of the UK and near a city, I'm going to be removing these. I just don't like the look. I think they somewhat date the car's overall appearance. With them off, it's surprising how much these actually weigh, maybe 6 or 7 kilos a side. With them removed, it's a far cleaner look in my opinion. Not forgetting these can always be refitted with relative ease should I ever change my mind in the future. Just a couple of bolts holding them in place each side. Moving inside to the interior of the G-Wagon, starting with a deep clean of the car. Afterwards I wanted to address the G-Wagon's famously rubbish basketball hoop aftermarket style cup holder. Mine was looking dirty and in a sorry state, with some of its leather needing some TLC. For years I've been using this amazing black leather dye on all of my cars to restore the scratched or worn seat bolsters, so I decided to use it on the cup holder. Now fitted back once again inside the car, it worked wonders and looked brand new again. Now I must say that people are wrong about this cup holder. It is in fact fantastic. It holds any drink far better than the standard car's plastic style. It works really well, it just looks really cheap. And last but not least, it's time to fit the obligatory AMG Private Lounge holographic sticker to the front of my windscreen to complete the look.
Okay, so that pretty much rounds up this video. Now if you want to see a part 2, let me know. I've actually filmed enough footage over the past year to actually can create a second volume or a part 2. If that's something you want to see, let me know in the comment section below. Now if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, which does help the channel grow with all the YouTube algorithm and all that nonsense. And if you haven't done already, consider clicking on that subscribe button as well as the bell icon. That way you're notified as soon as I upload any new videos and content. And until next time, thanks a lot for watching and supporting the channel. Cheers.